Welcome back to ＳiviLNet. I'm your host, Patrick Elliott. I'm joined today by Nele Loorents, who spent 20 years in the Estonian Defense Ministry and is now a research fellow at the International Center for Defense Studies. Nele, thanks for coming on with us today.
This is my pleasure. I'm always happy to share my experience and wisdom.
Well, God knows we need it. Estonia is actually an interesting country in that after the fall of the Soviet Union, the Estonian government essentially called an Estonian colonel in the U.S. military and had him come and take control of the defense reforms there. What can you tell us about Estonia's relationship with defense reforms overall, and especially currently facing these threats from Europe, and what Armenia can learn from this?
Well, when we gained our independence, we basically started from scratch with all our defense and military. We understood, I guess, immediately that we need to do very deep reforms in order to be more coherent and applicable to the Western side. And obviously our first ambition and aim was to get the membership to NATO as soon as possible. So having this kind of high-level military official coming in from other country who had lots of experience but still Estonian background and understood really well Estonian culture and circumstances was something which was in a way priceless. It helped us obviously to build up our own defense more in a Western way, but at the same time it also rooted this kind of Western thinking, understanding, and I think one of the most important parts of this time was also the educational side. General Ainsel was a guy who very much promoted sending Estonian officers and NCOs to all kind of Western military academies, and this basically was the platform for our growth in the defense.
But was there no pushback from, let's say, the more pro-Russian camps or more kind of old way of doing things? Because that's kind of what we're seeing here now, is that the Western-minded ones are coming up against an entrenched, bureaucratic, Russian-minded, old officers who don't want things to change. They're from the Moscow school, and that's how you do things.
I could say we more or less did the restart in the beginning of 90s. And if we look at our administrations, for example, then it's quite young. I started in MOD year 2000, well before we joined NATO, and I was basically one of the first generations who came to the government and has remained for long term, because before that the times were a little bit more turbulent in many ways. So there weren't actually too many of these old Russian school officers left. There were some obviously younger officers who had served conscript service in Soviet army, but their mindset was still very pro-Estonian, and there was not too much pushing back from that perspective. So it's really maybe up to our own big aspiration to get or gain back our independence and disconnect ourselves from this Soviet and Russian mindset as quick as possible, and move towards West as quick as possible. So that's why we reformed very heavily. We were very critical also in our economical side, because we really wanted to fulfill all the requirements in order to also join EU. And on the years where there was like big economical turbulence everywhere anyway going on, it was really challenging actually to keep all these criteria to be fulfilled. But this was our governmental first priority, to do whatever it takes to gain the membership of NATO and also EU.
So it's about will, ultimately.
It's about will. It's also not only the will of government, but the will of people, and being for so long under this Soviet pressure and having long historical memories how your parents or grandparents were sent to Siberia and how people were killed or sent to prisons. It all was in the background of our heads. So I think this is something which kind of led our way in the beginning of 90s. So it's really up to what is your aim for the future.
Tell us, Estonia of course has a brand as a high-tech country, and it does seem like there was a very serious pivot in that direction, namely the government in 2008 decreeing that every school, every child should have a laptop, a computer, and of course you had the famous security breaches, or essentially Moscow hacked the Estonian government in 2008 and 2014 in a very serious way. So how much of this push for technological superiority related to defense, to Estonia's conception of maintaining its sovereignty and independence?
It's pretty important part. Well, we started actually aiming for e-governance already in 90s. So there was quite a lot of work ongoing. We had quite many different digital opportunities, like mobile parking, for example, and some digital registration systems and so on. But 2007, when Russia did this very severe cyber attack, was kind of eye-opening in a way that we saw where were our weaknesses and where are the shortcomings and where we are the most vulnerable. And we put, starting from that point, a lot of effort actually to build up the digital system, which is very reliant and which people can actually trust. So basically, right now, all our governance is done through the digital systems. I think the only thing which we still can't do in the IT world is getting married, because you're supposed to see your partner before you say yes. But
you can do it on Zoom now.
Yeah, well, but besides that, basically you can do more or less everything in the digital world, and we are still very kind of good target for every kind of cyber attacks. We have cyber attacks basically daily basis, but ordinary people on the streets even don't recognize that it's happening. We are investing a lot into innovation and new technologies. I think Estonia has the most startups per person, per capita, and also just in May in Tallinn was opened this NATO Diana hub, which is the acceleration for defense innovation, and which shows that also in the NATO context there is great understanding that Estonia is having very good and strong expertise and also will to invest into these areas. And I personally also believe that this is in nowadays turbulent security situation really crucial to look into future and try to see what are the threats in future you have to counter and be proactive instead of being reactive.
Tell us, Armenia is now going through its own security reforms. It's also interesting to compare that Estonia, for what it produces, it's high-tech, mining and tourism, and agriculture, I apologize. In Armenia, it's high-tech, mining, agriculture, tourism, small countries, small populations, ex-Soviet legacy. So Armenia is now restructuring its own defense architecture. What advice would you give, considering we're, let's say, a good 20 years behind where you guys are? What should be Armenia's main focuses, and what should be prioritized in order to secure our country?
Yeah, well, I think Ukraine war has been quite good eye-opener in a way that we can see that a lot of war fighting is still done in the battlefield and with conventional means. But obviously there are certain areas where there is need for more investing. Manpower is always very important, and it's very critical in small countries like Estonia and Armenia. And I think we have quite similar approach to our defense in the sense that we both have the mandatory conscription service, and this is like useful, or I would say maybe only platform which ensures that there is actually sufficient amount of manpower, at least for the first part of the crisis. Obviously, Estonia and Armenia's current situation is somewhat different from the perspective that Estonia is the member of NATO. So the article of collective defense obviously applies, and for us the focus is how to be resilient for first week or two in order to ensure that the reinforcement from allied forces is going to happen, and new regional plans obviously provide good framework for that. Armenia has a little bit different situation at this point. NATO membership obviously is not something which is on the table or anywhere close by. So we really support Armenia ambition to get closer to EU, because obviously also EU has its defense pillar, has its defense articles, and we are very supportive to Armenia in order to reform the structures and the systems in a way that it would fit into the European Union membership gaining. So I think this would be like the first step. And obviously then as partner to the NATO, there is always opportunities to have some joint training, joint information exchange in order to also look the military structures in a way that they are more interoperable with NATO and allied troops if there is some need at some point, because developing military is long-term effort. We basically started from 91, and currently we are spending huge sums into developing our defense capabilities. Our government has decided to spend at least 3% for next 4 years from our GDP, and
I think we're at 5.5 at this point of our GDP.
But almost half of it is actually the capability development. So it depends also what you do with the money, because the percentage is just like small element of that, but obviously I think with this half from the defense expenditure spending to capability development, it's the highest in all NATO. So that's I think really something to put your effort also to prioritize what you actually can do, what you can aim, and what are the capabilities which are most efficient. And this is something where really Ukraine war has been a very sad but good showcase.
Nele, let me ask you, we are seeing ongoing defense reforms within Armenia's military. There's a lot of very encouraging stuff. However, the big concern that's felt amongst the general populace is that it's not fast enough and it's not thorough enough. And so taking into consideration what Estonia has done, I mean, bringing an American Estonian colonel to come and lead the reforms. We have multiple, I mean, the commander of the French Air Force is ethnic Armenian. I can go on, right? The former commander of U.S. forces in Europe, based in Germany, was Armenian. So they exist, they're out there. We're not bringing them over. And the excuse that we're getting is, well, in wartime we can't do these more extensive reforms because we have to man the border at the same time and deal with crises. So what's your response to this kind of criticism?
Well, it's for me, it's very hard actually to assess your internal kind of situation or what is applicable or what is not, because we really trust that the Armenians should find their own way and path and decide themselves what would be the best outcome or solution. There are always challenges with reforming very fast, but also reforming very slow. So it's pretty hard to find the balance. And I would say also whatever is the way to go, and there is guarantee that nobody will be like 100% happy. There is always somebody who is saying that you are not doing enough. It's always good to involve some like outside expertise. I would suggest that, obviously, but it's also true that right now it's a little bit different or complicated times. And it's these longer term efforts maybe can be a little bit shadowed away by this short term turbulence. So there has to be also some cautiousness in not forgetting this longer term aim and end state, what you want to gain. But the choices eventually will do Armenia itself, if they want to join NATO at some point, what kind of reforms are needed for that. And Estonia is always ready to support our small or big brothers and sisters in Caucasus. So it's really important because we have very similar historical background, and I think we have lots of expertise to share.
Nele, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure, and I am wishing you really great and flourishing Armenia.
Thank you. Thanks again for watching.